Have you ever wanted to make a student choice project for your class but didn't know how, or it was overwhelming and you just didn't have the time to put forth into making a student choice project? Well, Google Gemini can help you with that, and I'm here to show you how. So join me. Hello everybody, I'm Mr. Bramley and this is Mr. Bramley Teaches Tech. Today I want to talk about how you could use Google Gemini to help you create student choice projects. So student choice projects are one of the best ways to create an engaging environment in your classroom, but it's also one of the most overwhelming tasks to create as a teacher. So I want to help you create a really good project using Google Gemini as a tool and to give you a quick way to help you plan for these projects in your classroom. So if you're unfamiliar with what a student choice project is, it is giving your students a choice to complete one of several other different types of projects instead of just having them have one project that everyone does. So they could be able to make a video, they could write a written explanation, they could make a paper, they could have a slideshow, they could draw something, make it creative. They could build a model. They could do anything that they want to. They could even teach a mini lesson on something. But it would be aligned to their learning style, and it would be aligned to the standards as well. The problem that a lot of teachers have is creating a clear, equitable, aligned to standards project that encompasses all the learning styles. So what Google Gemini can do is it can help you come up with ideas, give you rubrics, give you scaffolding and how to help your kids get to where they need to be at the right time for the project and everything else. So a quick note about Google Gemini, it's not going to replace your teaching. What it's really going to do is it's going to give you ideas and rubrics and scaffolding methods to help you give the best project to your students as possible. And it's really going to help you just eliminate the overwhelm that comes with creating a student choice project. Before we do any prompting to Google Gemini, I want to give you 4 tips on how to create a really good prompt for Google Gemini. So first, you want to provide it with context. You want to give it the grade level you teach, the subject that you teach, and any standards that you're going to put in this project. The second thing you want to do is you want to make sure the AI has the goal that you want to get from the students. What do you want the students to be able to accomplish doing this project? The third tip is to give it time limits, any constraints that you have, or any reading levels that your kids are on, and make sure that you've included the standards. You should have done that in step 1, but we're just going to make sure we have the standards there for step 3. And the fourth tip would be to give it a role. Tell the AI what you want out of it. So you make sure you give them ideas, directions, a rubric, scaffolding, whatever you want to do. Make sure you include that in your prompt. Okay, here we go. I've created a prompt for Google Gemini that goes through the 4 tips that I just gave you. Well, you can say here, I teach 8th grade science in Ohio, and I want to make a choice board project that follows the timeline of the unit on standard 8.ls.3. I have a diverse range of students with several students reading at a grade level or above, but many students who are only reading at a 5th or 6th grade level. So that's the first tip there. I gave them everything that is just the intro to how I'm teaching it. Okay, so the second part here is I want to allow my students to have a choice on the project which they would like to complete based on their learning style and accommodation needs. There's the second part of it. The third part, I plan to make the project last 4 weeks and each student will present their project at the end, giving the AI directions on how long I want to make this project. I'll scroll down here for the fourth part. Give me several ideas for projects that are geared towards each individual learning style and separate them into higher grade level readers and lower grade level readers. Include directions and a rubric for scoring each project and a scaffolding suggestion for how students can break down the project into smaller chunks. I want each type of project to be worth a total of 100 points, where the content is worth 80 points, the presentation is worth 15 points, and behavior for the other presentations is worth 5 points in the rubric. What I'm going to do is I'm going to change this from fast to thinking. So what this will do is it'll take a little bit more time to do, but it will give me much more detailed responses. So here we go. I'm going to click submit. It's going to take a little bit longer than the normal Google Gemini prompt, but it's going to go through a whole bunch of different things. Oh, here we go. It gave us everything we needed right away. All right, so it gave us this. It says teaching in 8th grade science in Ohio means diving deep into standard 8.ls.3, which focuses on how traits are passed from one generation to the next through genes and chromosomes. To support your diverse learners, these projects focus on the core concepts: asexual versus sexual reproduction, the role of chromosomes/genes, and the Punnett squares to predict inheritance. So what this is telling us now is it's giving us stuff for visual, auditory, kinesthetic, and read and write. So I can export this to Sheets if I want. What it'll do is you can say the genetic mutation infographic. So you create an infographic using Canva or posters explaining how a specific genetic mutation affects a protein, leading to a visible trait change. The auditory, record a 5-minute podcast discussing the ethics and science of gene editing and how it relates to inherited traits. Kinesthetic, they can build a physical model showing how chromosomes exchange genetic material. And then read and write. They write a critique of a movie or book. That's for the people at grade level. For the people that are below grade level, it gives it a little bit more things that are geared towards what they're able to accomplish. It gave a universal rubric for everything, and then it gives a 4-week scaffolding timeline for each project. So it tells me I could use the check-in system to break the project into manageable chunks. It would say, would you like me to create a specific word bank or project proposal handout for your students? Let's say, okay, that's a cool idea. Give me a project proposal. So what it'll do is it'll give it a project proposal handout. So I can make this into a worksheet. I can just copy and paste this into a Google Doc and it'll create a worksheet for me. That's everything I did for it. Really easy. I can export them all into Sheets and make it very easily. Now see, a lot of this is, I can have it make a better rubric for each thing. So what I'm going to do now is going to have it make it specifically for what I want it to do. Okay, so this universal project rubric is great, but it's not geared towards each individual project like I want it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have it create individual rubrics. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to export these into Sheets. And it's going to create a spreadsheet for me, a new spreadsheet created, and I can open it in Sheets. And here we go. It gave me everything, the titles and everything. So if I were to do this, I can just make it in Sheets. So now we're going to go back to this. I'm going to export this into Sheets as well. Open this into Sheets now. Easy peasy. So we have ideas for our 8th grade level readers, and we have ideas for our lower level readers now. Here's where it's going to get a little bit trickier. We're going to have it break things down into the different projects. So what I can do now, I can add files. I can just take the files that I had just created and put it in here now. So now that I have the file in there, I can just create a rubric for each project with content being 80 points, presentation being 15 points, and behavior being 5 points. And then it'll use that and it'll create a rubric for each of those. All right, and it's broken down the 80 content points into subcategories, which is what I want it to do. So for this one, it'll say the trait analysis is 30 points, the accuracy is 20 points, presentation is 15 points, and behavior is 5 points. Perfect. It'll break these things down into smaller parts for the content for each of these. This is exactly what I wanted to do. Oh, it also went for these ones too. This is great. So it took the other ones too and made it into smaller pieces too. So now I have everything I need to make rubrics for this. So this is still going to take a little bit of time, but it's taking you much less time than what it would take you to do it otherwise. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a Google Doc that will help with everything. So I'm going to get everything together in a Google Doc. I'm going to say, I'll call this Genetics Choice Board Project. There we go. All right, so I'm going to call it that, and then I'm going to, I can make templates, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go and I'm going to import these guys into here. I'm going to paste unlinked just to make it better. And then what we're going to do, we're going to scoot this out. So so it looks better. These are our ideas for the lower level kids. So what I'm going to do now is these are our choices, and then I'm going to go back to Gemini, and I'm going to take the rubric for the visual Punnett square, put it down here. Boom. There's the rubric for that one. I'm going to do the same thing for the other ones. I can just take the rest of these, and I'm just going to do the same thing for the rest of these. Now I have all these things here. So this is our rubrics. If we want to make it look nicer, we can. We can certainly make this into a Google Sheet later. But for right now, just for purposes of time, I want to just give it right here. And I'm going to change the name of this to lower level, LL. So now I'm going to do the same thing I just did for this, for the lower level kids, and I'm going to make another genetics choice board, and I'm going to call it UL for upper level. And I'm going to take these guys here, copy and paste it into this guy, paste on link, and I'm going to make it better. There we go. And then we're going to go to Google Gemini and copy and paste the rubrics for each one of these. Upper level, we're going to paste it. Here are all the rubrics for it. We got those done. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another document for the scaffolding for the projects. So we're going to go back to Google Gemini. Can you create a scaffolding guide for each project? Boom. And it's going to take some time to do that. All right, so now it's created a scaffolding guide for each of them. So for my first projects here, I can go to my upper level one and I can paste it down here. So I just have it all together. This is just a working document so I can get everything together in one idea. So now I can have a scaffolding guide for the project. So what I'm going to do is we're going to take this here, copy and paste it into my scaffolding guide. And I'm going to have the rubric first for this, and then how to complete the project on time. And then we go down here and we'll copy and paste this over here. And then I'll do this for the other 3 topics too. So in order to save some time, I'll just use some YouTube magic to show you what my final project's going to look like. One more thing I wanted to do before I do anything else is I want to have it write an introduction for me. So I can just make this a fast thing, and I can just say, boom, do this, and then boom, it'll do this. It'll give me all these things, and I can just copy and paste this into my scaffolding guide I have started creating. So now with a YouTube magic, I will show you what the final project's going to look like. Okay, through the magic of YouTube, I have created a project here. I have finished everything up. I have introduction that I had AI create for me, and it also goes through the different parts of what they're going to learn. And then it has project idea 1. It gives a little introduction for that. And it gives me, I can put the rubric in there. And then how to complete the project on time. Project idea 2 has the CRISPR project, the podcast. Tells you how to do that. Project idea 3 is the 3D meiosis and crossover model. Gives you instructions in how to complete the project on time. And then project idea 4 does the same thing. And I've created this whole document now that I can give to my students when they create this project. So if you like what I did here, please consider subscribing and liking this video. It helps a lot. Leave a comment if you like to as well. I can also give you the link to this project if you would like to. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. I'll see you later.